So the same process for installing the negative cable clamp as the positive. We'll put this fuse holder in and tape up the end. For this one, I already cut the ends off of this side of the wire harnesses and pulled it out, similar to what we did on the other harness installations. So this is also a acceptable way to install these. So again, we've got the sticker. Same thing with the sticker, that should go towards the post. Even at the negative end, that it's not towards the post on the positive and then away on the negative. The sticker still should face towards the post. Same thing where the inline fuse here should go away from the post, and then the wires that are going to get connected to this last sensor here should go towards the post if this sticker were backwards. When we're installing the cable clamp, we want to try not to have it on a bend. It just will make it more difficult to get consistent and accurate readings. So I'm going to put my tape on here just like I did with the positive. And then I've already got these screws out a little. Oh, and that's how easy that is to fall off. So already got the screws out a little, and I'll make my impression to mark where I'm going to bore this out at. Mark where those holes are going to be with the boring tool. And then you can remove the tape. Okay. So we can grab our back plate right here and our zip ties, feed them into the slot on the cable clamp. It's always good to make sure that the bigger end of the zip tie, where the tie is actually going to feed in and lock in, is towards the bigger end of this clamp. Then feed it into the backing plate. So same thing, we've got this kind of opened up here. And then when we tighten this, we'll go around the cable. But we'll get this set here now. So right there. Line up this backing plate. Feed that in. We get that kind of tight again, but not not trying to over tighten it yet, just so that it won't move when I remove my hand and release pressure on this. That's good for now, and then we'll back these screws out. And then I like to kind of squeeze this down a little bit, make sure that these zip ties are as tight as we can get them here. So that should be good and tight. And then I'll drive that set screw back down. So I'm feeling for resistance, and I'm going back and forth here to make sure that I'm not tightening this side and loosening up the other side. So just making sure that they're both making contact there. And I'll still verify with the meter. That we get the ring here. So again, we're not fully touching there. All right, so we're good there now. We can trim off these zip ties and then start routing the wires for the last sensor to be wired up. So now we've got the cable clamp fully installed, and we're going to start cutting the wires that go to the sensor so that they fit. So the black wire coming from the cable clamp here is the same as all the other black wire sets. So we'll trim this down to fit here. Kind of follow that same process. This one I've got a lot of extra space there, so I can just push that sheathing back up instead of stripping it. And then the same wire sequence, the gray, then blue, and then black into the IDC here. So gray, then blue, and then black. Trim this up so that my cover will fit. And that one will be ready to go. The next ones, so we actually end up with 3 gray sets of wires here. If you remember from the last video, we put a gray wire in a gray sleeve on the positive side over here. So we do that so that the wire sequence is the exact same as all the other ones, but it just gets a little confusing sometimes. So you're still doing your gray, then your red connection, or red wire, and then your black wire for this gray connection. But you can't cut all of these at the same time because you do have, with this cell, 6 volts of potential between your gray wire and your black and your red wires over here. So you need to cut these individually to fit onto the, or to, after they're wire managed, to make sure that we got them proper to getting connected onto this sensor. So one way you can do that is you kind of mark it with your thumb on where it's going to be, and then you can kind of pull this away and cut this first one. You want to maintain control of that, you know, with your fingers there. But then once you kind of have that one, you know where the other ones are going to need to be cut. And we can cut those accordingly. So now we're good there. We can slide the sheathing back up on some of these. On this gray one, we'll probably have to cut that sheathing back. So what we end up with here is still a gray, a red, and a black wire. So we'll get our orange IDC, put it into the gun, and we're still going to do the same thing. Crimp the gray, then your red, then the black. Trim our wires. And then install the cap. Now we're all done with wiring and ready to move on to the next steps, which are going to be installing our RJ12 wires from sensor to sensor, not connecting them to the next sensor, but just getting them pre-installed so that when we get to the commissioning phase, we're ready. We'll also, in the next videos, start installing the electrolyte level sensor wires, and we'll go over how to do it for these cells specifically, where we have 3 ELM sensors and 1 VIGILANT sensor.